Hello everyone, Eric here. Um, Thank you for tuning in. And for this video, I will have a few trains run around the layout. Um, we will follow the trains around the layout and at the same time talk about some of the changes to the layout and also maybe talk about some of the purchases that I have made recently. So hope you enjoy. So here we have two Kato units pulling my first train. These are C44-9s. Haven't seen much runtime on my layout since they did not have decoders equipped. Recently I purchased two ESU low pilot decoders. Those are the non-sound decoders. And just installed them about a month ago, I'm thinking. So we have them running now on the layout. So some of the changes to the layout, as you can see, I painted the track. I mistakenly used the satin finish spray can, a brown spray can, instead of a matte finish. And that's where you can kind of tell there's a shine to the color on the track. I did go over it with the airbrush and got rid of the shine, but this was a video that I did maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Here we have the train going up the helix, traveling on the outside track. The grade on this helix is somewhere around 2.5%. The radius on the outside track, it's 27.5. The inside track, the radius is 25 inches. So yeah, the outside is 27.5 inches. The inside is 25 inches. I believe the train is pulling 39 cars, 39 freight cars. And I haven't had any problems with this helix with the trains pulling that amount of cars. So I'm happy how it turned out. Is anyone counting the freight cars? Here we have another pair of Kato units. The lead unit is an SD40, I believe, and the trailing unit, it's a SD38-2 maybe? Don't recall. Those structures in front of the engines to the right, those I put together about a week ago. They are Walder's Merchant Row 1 and 2 maybe. I placed them there to see if I like how they look there, and I think that will be their permanent place. Here you can see the train going over the viaduct bridge that I made out of foam using a hot wire tool. Also, you can see the backdrop. I placed a backdrop. And here you see the train traveling past the grain elevator. This is a Walther's kit. And here you see the train passing next to the yard in the lower deck of the peninsula. As you can see, I still need to place a backdrop on this side, which I do have it. I just ran out of paint, so I need to go to Home Depot and buy some more paint. Taking the track to the right from the switch there would allow you to continue on the lower deck, bypassing the helix. Here you see the train going up the helix. These 560-foot high cube boxcars are made by Athearn Genesis. The following cars, these bulkhead flat cars, are Atlas, as well as these 8 covered hoppers. These covered hoppers I purchased not long ago. I'll say about a month ago. They are the Atlas Trainman, and I purchased them for about $18 a piece. So I thought it was a good deal. Here you see I added some ground cover to this section, which is what I will be using throughout the layout. And here you see the train going across my lift up bridge. Makes it easier for me to get in and out of my layout instead of having to duck under the layout. So I recently finished powering most of the frogs to my turnouts. The only exception will be the turnouts that are on the top there, on the interchange. I have about 3 turnouts up there and 1 double crossover. So that there has like 4 frogs, and then with those 3, so 7 frogs I still need to power up. The reason why I haven't done that is because I'm gonna redo the whole section up there. Here you see I am working on the cardboard lattice for the mountain. I will be placing some plaster cloth over it, and as you can see I have a backdrop up here as well. That would allow me to complete the mountain scene on that area. To the right of the screen you see some structures that I temporarily placed there. That area is actually going to be the scrapyard. As you can see, some gondolas there on that track. Here, passing by the team track on the other side of that structure, as you can see some flat cars there. So that is my team track there. And these structures over here are for the cement plant that's just to the right there of the screen. So here we have a excursion train being led by a steam engine, which is a Bachmann Spectrum 280 that I purchased somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around that time. Been sitting in boxes, or this one and another one that I purchased at the same time, which is another Bachmann Spectrum, is a 482. Well, these had been sitting in their box for quite a while, since I did not know that these were DCC ready. Not long ago, I placed the decoder on this one, and now I have it running on my layout. I wanted a steam engine to pull these excursion cars by Bachmann. So we have a Bachmann steam engine. We have these 5 excursion cars by Bachmann, and the gondola that's behind the steam engine. That's a Proto 2000, lifelike Proto 2000, before it was by Walters. I have had that gondola for some time now. So after adding the decoder, I ran it for the first time on this layout and noticed that sometimes it would stall going over some of my turnouts, especially the ones that the frogs were not powered. Because of that, I decided to power all my turnouts, or like I said earlier, most of my turnouts. So now every single turnout on the main line is powered, and even on the industries. So like I said, most of my turnouts are powered except for like the very top of my layout, which is the interchange. And now that all the frogs on the turnouts are powered, I do not have a problem with this engine going over my turnouts. So I'm pretty happy about that. So I recently added those hills to that elevated track on the background there. So one thing that is important to me is the performance of the engines. So after powering the frogs on the turnouts, I can say that most, if not all, of my engines do not have any issues on any part of the layout. One thing I can say is that I don't really care too much about high-end engines or high-end freight cars, passenger cars. I'm okay with the budget-friendly equipment that is not gonna break the detail parts when I handle them or I work on them. Same goes with sound engines. Don't really care too much about the sound either. It's nice to have sound on the engines, but I find myself turning it off after a while. Just gets a little bit annoying for me. I do have like a handful of engines with sound. Like I say, I find myself turning them off after a while. So a little info on my layout. The layout footprint is 12.5 feet by 14 feet. Minimum radius curve on the main line is 24 inches radius. There are maybe one or two areas where I do have like a 22-inch radius. That will be like on the inside track on the lower deck in the peninsula. That inside track will lead you to the yard in the bottom, and that has a 22-inch radius. But most of my turns, my curves are 24-inch radius. The maximum grade on any part of my layout would be 2.5% grade, and that will be in the helix. Everything else, it's closer to the 2.0% grade. Well, we will be ending this video. Thank you all for watching, and everyone take care, and see you on the next video. Bye.